Um, yeah, so it didn't take too much out of you, huh?
I mean, it's a big effort, but yeah, I mean, I think anytime you mix sports as opposed to just doing one, like just run all day or something,
Yeah,
the body is able to bounce back a little better because of less impact.
totally. Oh yeah. Yeah, I kind of feel like, I mean, I've always said, "Hey Ryan, how's it going?"
Did Ryan just jump in?
He did.
Yeah, I just got on. Hey guys,
Sweet.
Hey, how's it going? Good to meet
just
you.
had to get connected there,
Yeah, no worries.
but I'm here.
Um, yeah, cool. I was just asking Jason how he was feeling today after that effort. How are you doing?
Not too bad. I think if anything, kind of some mental general fatigue, but
Yeah, right.
overall surprisingly better than I thought I would be.
Right. That's cool. I was just about to say to Jason, like I feel like the cold water and the swim actually like really removes a lot of the or heals a lot of the impact, and the compression that you get from climbing and descending and running.
Yeah, yeah, I totally do that on my long runs and outings sometimes when I can, just to get in there for a little bit.
Right. So tell me how this whole thing started, how it happened in the from the beginning.
Well, I guess, I mean, it kind of started with Ryan having an idea that he's actually tried before, and I guess I'll let him jump in there and tell about that.
Um, well, it was kind of a stunt or a dare. I was living in Bishop, California at this climber's house. It's called the Zoo. A lot of roommates. And one night, a roommate was like, I think a triathlon is the toughest sport. You got to do a triathlon event. And so we were trying to think of it, and Yosemite seemed like the coolest place to do it and incorporate climbing. So that's kind of where.
Oh, did we lose him?
I think we lost him there.
Got dropped there.
Yeah.
You're
Sorry.
back now. You're
That's
back
right.
now.
Moving closer to the building. Okay. So yeah, it was a stunt or a dare from roommates originally on a dinner night, and we were looking for something triathlon wise. We
Right.
thought that was the toughest sport, and went to Yosemite as kind of like a cool place to do it. And the triple just came up as let's incorporate that somehow. The Tuolumne triple, and we need to get a swim. And so the thing that we weren't sure on was where to start this thing. Or originally we'd called it the Bishop Bozo, try to bowl and try to do the swim. And I've tried that in other variations, and I got up there after doing that crusher bike and just, it was a little demoralizing. We're never really quite up for it. And that's part of what we started, it's been kicking around. I started talking to Jason, like, what can we do with this? And I wasn't familiar with the picnic format, but Jason kind of took it and talked to some other friends and made it a new thing, which I'm really happy with how it came out.
Yeah, from the moment he introduced it to me, I was like, oh man, how could we kind of reformat this to fit the same picnic idea where it's bike, swim, big mountain climbing effort, swim, bike. Just because I liked that format when I
Yeah.
put it on Shasta, even though on Shasta you switch the swim and the bike because of where the lake is located next to town.
Right.
And this one, it just, we'd talked like, starting in Bishop, starting in Mammoth, maybe starting in Lee Vining for a shorter effort. And then finally a friend is like, why aren't you just starting out of Yosemite Valley? And it was just like, oh, of course, like obviously we have to. There's not another option. I think we'd been thinking out of this side of the park just because fewer people, less traffic.
Yeah.
But then once that idea got got into our head, it was like, oh, this has to happen. And then it became a question of where in the valley to start it so that you at least avoid some of that traffic and pedestrian collision risk. And we thought, starting and finishing at the El Cap Bridge, they're kind of right under El Cap, so still an iconic spot, but also not as deep into the valley as like Curry Village, where the traffic gets insane.
Yeah, totally.
So yeah, it kind of evolved over the course of, I don't know, probably it was only like a couple of weeks that we went from Bishop Bozo Ironman to Yosemite Picnic.
Right.
But yeah, it was a cool creative process to go through, and bouncing ideas off different people. And I mean, obviously we got a hold of you.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So how, so tell me how it all went.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to be a pretty giddy person, pretty stoked on life and everything. So starting off in the dark beneath El Cap, and then going through those tunnels that you bike through was just a good time, hee-hawing and yipping and hollering through the echoes of the tunnel.
Right. What time did you guys start?
4:18. So yeah, around 4:00 in the morning.
Right.
Which I recommend because you want to avoid the Yosemite traffic. I also recommend doing it in a shoulder season when there's not as much RV traffic.
Right.
I guess in that sense, COVID
we
was
did
an
on a
ally.
weekday.
Yeah, weekday as well.
Yeah.
In that sense, COVID was an ally in that, since the park is limiting visitors with reservations, it gave us, slightly less traffic than maybe would have been on a normal year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how was that bike ride? I mean, it must be like fairly strenuous, right? Like,
Well, you're gaining 6,500 feet over 43 miles.
6,500
It surprisingly, honestly, it was tough, but we were so stoked. I think we went an hour faster than we thought we were going to go.
Wow.
Getting up there. But it's a gradual, it's probably 6% grade or so, and it's sustained enough, but it's not very steep for most of the sections.
Right. Cool. How many miles did you say it was?
43 and a half to get up, and it's 44 and a half back down, just because you have to follow the one-way traffic when you're down in the valley.
Right. Cool. Sweet. And was there much traffic in the morning when you were headed up there? I mean,
we got passed by maybe 3 or 4 cars that came up from behind us, and they were pretty polite and courteous. There was a bit of traffic going the other way down into the valley, but that wasn't really a concern to us.
Right. Right. Cool. So when did you get to the lake?
Just a bit after sunrise.
Nice.
We must have started our swim sometime around 7:15.
Cool. Cool.
Yeah, it would have been a little bit before 8.
Right. Right. And how was that swim? You both had wetsuits, right? I mean, you had like.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a pretty cold lake. I mean, we caught it at a pretty ideal time of year where it was like definitely within normal wetsuit parameters.
Yeah.
So it felt good in a wetsuit.
Mm-hmm.
Swimming it without a wetsuit you'd have to time it just right, and you'd have to be pretty ballsy to be willing to swim that cold.
Yeah.
And then a lot of the times of the year, it's really cold.
It was fortunately it felt 10 degrees warmer than when I'd been up there before, but a lot of times it's very cold. Even on one iteration of this, I actually tried wearing a dry suit because it was just so cold up there in late, early October.
Yeah, right. Right. Any idea what the temperature of the lake actually was?
I don't have a good enough gauge to like put a peg on. I mean, my watch, my Garmin said it was 66 degrees, but I don't know if that's influenced by my body temperature. I don't know how accurate.
It would have felt that if it was 66 degrees, that's pretty warm in a wetsuit. I bet it was probably somewhere between 55 and 60 would be my guess.
That would be my guess as well, because I mean the watch was up against my skin being warmed the whole time.
Yeah,
so.
under the wetsuit.
Oh yeah, right. Cool. And how long? It's a mile. You said it's 1.1 miles. Is that right?
Yeah, it's ballpark of 1.1 miles. I think each time it came out to like 1950 yards. Um,
And did you guys
so I think
tow,
that comes out to roughly 1.1.
right? Did you guys tow dry bags?
I did not tow a dry bag. I just put a dry bag over my phone, a small one, and stuffed it under the wetsuit, along with my spot tracker.
We had a cache ahead of our climbing shoes and stuff for the next segment, so that was helpful.
Oh,
But
cool.
if you went unsupported, you could probably finagle that.
Yeah, we went self-supported.
Right. That's cool. Yeah. I mean, I just find like doing it self-supported is just easier. You have to do less caching and shit like that. And I have this amazing, it's a Seal Line boundary pack, and I have like the 30 liter, and that's what I use to go over the wind. So it's like big enough for overnight, actually, if you're super tight, and for putting rock shoes and whatever for a day's picnic. It's kind of ideal. So if you've got more of these ahead of you, I recommend, because it also has backpack straps too, so you can kind of use it for everything. So that's what I'm using these days. And in towing a dry bag, you can stuff it as completely full as possible, like jam it full of gear and food and water and everything, and it still floats along behind you and you barely even notice it. So that's just become my like MO these days in the picnic thing. But I mean, yeah, I mean it's all like how you like to do it. But to me, it's just easier to do it that way. And then you also have something to grab hold of in the middle of the lake if you suddenly need something, But
yeah, and we thought about that too.
Yeah, but there was two of you. So yeah, and you swam right down the middle of the lake. It looks like, according to your map.
Yep.
How wide is Tenaya Lake?
Maybe a half mile-ish ballpark.
A half mile.
A couple hundred yards or something. Yeah.
Right.
I don't know.
Respectable.
Yeah.
Sure. So how long did it take you?
On the first swim across, with the water being glassy and smooth, I think I swam it in 46 and he swam it in 52. And then on the way back, we had a gnarly headwind with waves. Yeah. And I think I did it in an hour 4, and I'm not sure what his time was.
It was hour 16 or hour 20 or something. It was rough the last go because we were feeling it and cramps and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Waves in your face or crosswind or.
Yeah, exactly. Waves crashing on you, trying to come up in between them. And yeah.
That's some good suffering right there.
It was kind of do it or go home at that point. It's like, well, I'm so into this so far, we don't want to go home.
So tell me about the climbing leg.
Oh man, the Tuolumne Triple is just so epic. I mean, any one of those, like Tenaya Peak it's like really easy climbing.
Yeah.
Like some people would just call it slab hiking.
Yeah.
But the view of the lake you get while you do it is just so amazing, and I think that's why it's a classic climb.
Yeah.
Mathis Crest is just 2 miles of razor ridge on solid rock with a 5.7 crux. So massive exposure.
That's 5.7. That bit that you filmed.
Yeah, that bit that we filmed. Yeah.
Right.
That move, Jason, going up the crux there's 5.7, and it's probably some of the most classic alpine ridgeline in the Sierra. 2 miles of just super clean, beautiful, about as perfect as it gets up there. I've gone back to it over and over the years. You can never climb these things too many times. So.
Right. And I've climbed Tenaya and Cathedral. I just haven't climbed the crest, which I need to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so Jason had kind of projected it last year as a more of a shorter 1-part FKT, and he had some extra beta and some route finding that definitely was pretty helpful up there, even though I'd been up there before. That we did a strong effort. Cool.
How long does it take to climb the Matthias Crest usually?
We did it over about 1 hour, right, Jason?
Wow.
Yeah, I think I'd say a ballpark of that. I could go back and check the Strava data. I mean, yeah, it's not so much that it's super difficult or super long. It's just you have to be careful enough with your footwork and your handwork, and there's enough like airy moves that you have to kind of concentrate on.
Yeah.
that it just slows the process down. But it's not
Right.
too long of a time you're up there.
Right.
Yeah,
about
we're
an hour
experienced
maybe.
climbers that we've been up there before, and so for us doing it in an hour and a half, some teams will spend 8 or 10 hours on this thing, belaying it with ropes 100%.
Right.
So
Right. And is that 5.7? Do you have to go that way, or are there other ways around that?
As far as I know, there's no other variation that gets you past that crux.
Right. Right. Cool. Because that's kind of the crux that puts you onto the crest, it looked like.
That's the crux that puts you up onto the north summit, the actual high point that you have to tag.
yeah, the true summit.
Cool. Cool. And then you go, and then what did you climb on Cathedral?
Cathedral, what is that? The northwest buttress, Ryan?
Yeah, it's the most
northeast.
I thought it was, for some reason I thought it was the south, but it's the original route on Cathedral. And it's probably one of the most classic 5.6, 5.7 multi-pitches in Yosemite anywhere.
Right.
Mega classic.
Yeah, cool.
Speaking of picnic, the summit's probably about the size of a picnic table, and it's at 11,000 plus feet, 360-degree view of Yosemite. And we just had a great time on that one. I think we did that one in about half an hour.
Cool.
And really enjoyed it. This is the end of our, we did this climbing and felt good up there.
Right.
So.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's fun. It plays between like some crack moves and some flake moves, and then you have some airy nubbins that you have to step out on, just really exposed. And if you're in your running or your approach shoes, it's like trusting those shoes on some pretty small nubbins. I mean, you have decent crimper hands, but you definitely are like very aware of the moves you're making.
There's some committing little move or two in a row sometimes, or you gotta crack jam, or you gotta use a couple knobs, and you use the whole 3 or 4 points of contact, so you're being redundant.
Yeah,
Take it careful.
Right. That's on the other side of Cathedral Peak from like the normal route that most people do, right? Isn't that like the normal route? Isn't that on the east side, if I recall?
No, we charged right up the classic route that everybody does.
Okay.
The one that everybody travels to Tuolumne for. That's the route we climb on.
Yeah, right up the chimneys and everything.
Right.
Yeah, it wouldn't make sense to do the most classic line.
Yeah, right. Cool. Awesome. And then what kind of shoes did you guys use anyway?
I use the Solomon Speed Cross 5s. It's a running shoe, but I find that the rubber is almost as sticky as an approach shoe. And they're fit, decently snug. And we also carried a pair of climbing shoes, which we did put on for the Mathis Crest, just for peace of mind. We might have got away without them, but with that fatigue and not sure how we were gonna feel, and knowing that we had a couple committing sections there, it just made us kind of took the edge off to put the shoes on for that section.
Right.
So.
Right. And could you feel while you were climbing? Did you feel the fatigue of the bike ride and the swim and everything?
Cramps.
Really?
Both of us can say that word.
Really?
Yeah. Anytime you try to get a high foot, quad cramps and hamstring cramps would like make it difficult to you'd have to kind of almost hurry the move instead of stepping into it and feeling really secure. You'd have to put the foot up there and just go.
Yeah.
Cramps would get in. So that was pretty gnarly.
Wow.
But it was really the high steps you had to watch out for. If you kept, you could step about to your knee level with nothing, but you stepped way up there to foot to waistline, and woo, that could sneak up on you.
Crazy. Do you think that were you dehydrated? Were you not or was it just because that long bike ride up 6,300 feet of vert? Do you think?
I think it's a combination. I mean, I think we did end up riding faster up than we had anticipated, so that probably added a little bit to it.
Were you guys on road bikes?
Yeah, and then you're just out there a long time. And I think anytime you force your body into a really maximally extended position, you can cause yourself to cramp when you're laying in bed.
Yeah.
If you're really straining that lengthening of your muscles.
And then on the triple, the first peak Tenaya is probably the most vertical gain you get out of those 3 peaks, and so that kind of dulls the edge a little bit starting off on that.
Right.
Yeah, and it's enough of a slab hike, like you're not making really hard moves. You just kind of put your hands on the rock, or even sometimes you're just hands on knees, just like power hiking it up this steep slab.
Yeah, right.
And so, yeah, that definitely puts a number on your muscles as well, because it feels easy enough that you feel like you need to move fast because it's easy. But it's also like a lot of gain really quick.
Right, right. And did you guys have good weather all day except for the wind on the way back on the swim?
We got dumped on right after we came off Cathedral Peak. We got dumped on by the storm that was supposed to happen. Luckily, it didn't turn into a major thunderstorm like it had in prior days. But we did get dumped on, just buckets for like, I don't know, 5 or 10 minutes, and then it stopped.
Yeah, this is a short little violent thing. It's been like that the last few days. That's why we started extra early this time too. So.
Right. What did you guys bring in the way of layers? Did you have like rain jackets for that, or no?
We had like windbreaker type, medium, a little bit of something, but.
Right.
Yeah, I just had my my sun hoodie that I'm always out in, and then I had one like micro thin Arc'teryx wind layer.
Right.
I always find that as long as I'm moving, I'm never really cold, especially not in temperatures like we were, having out there. It was a pretty hot day.
Right.
It's kind of heat wave moving through. It was probably 100 degrees by the time we biked back down into the valley.
Wow.
Close to it.
Yeah. I pulled out my rain layer to put it on, and by the time I was about to put it on, the rain seemed to be dying off. So I got away with just basically arm warmers.
Wow.
Yeah.
Damn. Huh. Cool.
Fast and light.
And so then how was the run back to the lake, and how did it feel to like have to like do that? That's always like, I mean, that's always the crux for the picnics you do here, is like the second swim, right? And looking across that lake and being like, holy shit, here we go again.
I mean, I was thinking about the second swim, but I bet you Ryan was really thinking about the second swim.
I was like, oh no, man. Like, it's going to be something getting back in that water. And then seeing the wind and the whitecaps. Yeah. But the actual run didn't go too bad. Jason kind of paced it. Probably took the point on that. And we just tried to do a mellow, steady, just moving. There was some slabs there to get back to the trail at the end. You go a little cross country. And the water did make it a little bit, we kind of zigzagged, or I went down the woods and found some dirt to go around a couple of the slabs just because the water made it a little bit more spicy.
Right.
Yeah, nothing like wet slab.
Yeah, right. How many miles was the run back?
Well, in total, it's just shy of an 11-mile loop. So when you tag, once you tag Cathedral Peak, you probably have, I think it's like 4 miles left to go.
Cool. Right. So what was the length of the triple? How long?
11 miles.
11 miles, just under.
How many hours did that take you?
6 hours, 3 minutes.
Wow. Damn.
I felt pretty good on that because I think the actual record on it is like 5 hours, 2 minutes. So we were basically within about an hour of the overall record.
That's
with
sick.
all that behind us.
Yeah.
So.
Right.
Yeah, I was pretty satisfied with that performance as well. I thought that was ballpark of right where we wanted to be for output on that.
Right. Sick. And how did it feel? How did that swim back feel? What were you guys thinking about on the way back?
I don't know, man. Those
Ryan
rocks aren't moving quick on the shore. Another 20 minutes, maybe. I don't even want to look. I just gotta keep 1,000 strokes, put my head down. See, it was just trying to keep moving.
Yeah.
So here's a fun part of this story. That to kind of how big of a deal these swims were for Ryan, especially that second swim into those freaking waves and that headwind. I basically like gave him some coaching tips from my Ironman days, because I actually raced Ironman pretty competitively back before my car accident in 2015. So I had to like learn some quality open water swimming from other people. And like we had to take him from like beginning like just kind of getting into open water swimming to being able to like, okay, swim this whole lake twice, even while fatigued. So we did like 2 or 3 days of like me giving him pointers and things to focus on and refining the stroke and how to sight and like ways to breathe more efficiently and how to slow his kick down to like a 2-beat instead of a 6-beat kick. So like we did a ton of stuff, and he like had to absorb it all super fast and go from like, you know.
Yeah, little did I
being-
know what I was signing up for, maybe, but Jason did help a lot. We probably practiced a couple hours a day for the days before, and maybe better off that he didn't know we were going right down the middle of the lake exactly until we were. So,
Yeah,
there you
but then
go.
he crushed it. He crushed it. So yeah, him getting through that second swim, I mean, I think we captured some of it on video, where it's just like, dude, baptism by fire, crash course in open water swimming.
Open
'cause,
water
like,
alpine swimming, right? Like,
right? Yeah, that's the other thing. It's like you're at 8,000 feet. You're almost at 8,000 feet as you're swimming this lake. The air is a bit thinner up there.
oh yeah, yeah.
I got some cramping probably the last 15 or 20 minutes that I felt okay up till then, and it was like I could only take about half of a size breath, it felt like, and I just had to keep moving. I slowed down for sure, but I like, at least I can see the shore now, so I got to do this. Dang it. But,
I had
yeah.
a few massive cramping sessions as well. One really major one where it was like, oh shoot, this is scary bad, because
Wow.
I couldn't like grab it and pull it out. It was a calf cramp, and like I wrenched on it as hard as I could, like, you know, bobbed underwater and wrenched on it, and it wouldn't let go at all. I'm like, oh shoot, you know, this is like the horror story, the swimmer horror story. And finally,
Like,
I
let's get on the bikes.
floated on my back, and after floating on my back for like maybe a minute, it released on its own. I was like, oh my gosh, okay, we're back to it, and rolled back over and started chugging again.
Oh my God.
But yeah, when you're alone in the middle of a lake and suddenly you lose your ability to move one of your legs because it cramps so bad, that's
Don't panic.
it's gnarly.
That's alarming. Yeah, that's crazy. Sick. Well, and so then you got back to how did it feel to get to the other shore? That's always my personal favorite
At
moment.
that point, it's like downhill bike. We've got this. Game on. It's sent. Let's just bring it home. I was so stoked.
I bet that was a fun bike ride.
Oh yeah, we cruised out of there. Once we got up the last little rise there, it was probably 30-40 miles an hour plus, just rolling
Sick.
hard at El Cap. So
Yeah, and I mean, you do still climb on the bike ride back down. You still climb 2,400 feet because there are rollers up there once you're up in the meadows.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, definitely there's some struggle there.
Fucking A.
there was some struggle. Jason did kind of pace me a little bit there, and I was fighting it as much as I could. Every time there was a little kicker, it's like, man, I just gotta push through this thing because it was still a little bit there before it was all downhill.
Yeah.
So.
For sure.
And then we hit the long downhill, and it was all just big gear, rip it, and then deep tuck and just glide.
Sick.
Fun.
Sick. So what was your total time?
14 hours, 36 minutes, and 50 seconds. Excuse me, 50.
Yeah.
Damn.
Basically 14 and a half if somebody wants to crush it, but it was legit.
But it sounds like that's a pretty good effort. Like that might be pretty hard for other people to crush that time, huh?
I mean, you're not going to casually beat that time, but I think someone who's skilled in biking, skilled in swimming, and can hold their own soloing on the rock, I think if they put a really solid dialed effort in, then I think it can definitely get knocked down. But yeah, you'd have to have some experience in all of them.
Yeah, right.
None of our efforts were bad. I thought we were pretty strong on the bike coming up there. You know, swimming was a crux for me, and I thought we did a phenomenal job on the climb. That was probably our best segment. So yeah, there's different strengths you could bring to the table for sure.
Right. Sweet. So does this make you want to do more of these kinds of adventures that include swimming?
I wanted to do more, but yeah, this one was so cool.
What about you, Ryan?
I've thought about it. It kind of opened my eyes to maybe there could be something a little closer to home or a little more of a sprint distance type thing.
Right.
Jason even had a suggestion or two, but we'll see. I'll keep things quiet. It's definitely not this week.
Right.
So,
Have you talked to anybody else who's, I mean, it looked online like there might be some other people that are psyched on trying this as well. Any indication of that?
I've already had 2 people definitely say that they want to go for it in September. I've had a bunch of people
wow.
like tagging their friends in who are like, you know, we should do this together. So there's already a decent bit of stoke going on.
Awesome. Well, I mean, that's like I was saying to you, Jason, the harder you make it, the more excited people are to do it.
Yeah.
The more like, and the more demanding it is. I mean, that to me sounds like it's super, I mean, that's super demanding, with the amount of elevation gain and the, and the soloing 3 peaks. I mean, and a cold lake at 8,000 feet. That's more than a mile long. I mean, that's all up to like,
and then 100-degree temperatures in the valley, and if it wasn't down there, it might have been cold up high. So it's getting the weather too.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Oh, Cal, good job, you guys. Like, nice work. I mean, I want to do it now. I honestly have now I have to train harder because I mean, I've sort of let my climbing go to shit because, going up and down the Grand Teton, it's not really climbing, right? It's a little bit of 4th class with a 5th class move here too, but might have to start actually climbing again to do this one.
It's worth it. I mean,
yeah.
I loved, Brian alluded to the fact that I had to rehearse this Triple Crown because I did it. At one point I held the FKT on it. And just going out and rehearsing the sections, like going out and powering up Tenaya, going out and rehearsing Mathis Crest, going out and rehearsing Cathedral. It's like those experiences by themselves, make the lifestyle of getting ready for this effort worth it. Because you're just out there in one of the world's most beautiful places.
Totally.
It's like anything that gives me an excuse to go spend more time in a space that's jaw-dropping is like a great excuse, right?
Yeah.
Totally. Awesome.
Maybe we'll be back eventually.
Yeah, well, you guys should come out to the Tetons too. There's some fucking amazing ones to do out here. And in fact, there's some cool ones that people haven't done that involve a little bit harder climbing. I just did one, and then I did one in the Winds recently, which was I swam 5 lakes along the way over the course of going up and over Gannett Peak. And I'm going to try and go back here in a couple weeks and actually do it swimming 9 lakes along the way, including.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, including a couple at 11,000 feet. But I'm getting an actual cold water swimming wetsuit for this.
Yeah.
Yeah. But well, cool. Thanks you guys for doing this. I think it's amazing. I think it's a super awesome effort, and I definitely am psyched that other people are going to try it too.
Yeah, it's an inspiring place and an amazing thing. To just any part of it was huge. And
yeah,
I
know, right? And
it felt like 4 days in one.
That's awesome. All right, well, cool. Thanks, you guys. And if you could send me some photos, just send me a few photos, like maybe Dropbox or Google or Drive or something, just so I could drop them into this, in relevant places, and I'll probably pare this down, to the best parts, kind of just, so people watch it and get psyched. But
cool.
Yeah, nice job.
Can when you finish that, can you send it to me as well? Because I'll have them add it to the actual route description on the FKT website as well.
Oh, cool.
Like a link back to wherever you host it.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, because I think that would drive some traffic your way and just be a way to get more people aware.
Yeah.
They just accepted it last night, my write up for the route and the FKT. So it's unofficially official now.
Awesome. Yeah, I need to get in touch with Buzz and talk to him about, because all the other ones the picnics I've done, I didn't Strava or GPS any of them. And so I'd like to talk to him about, how to make them legit under his rules. But yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I
Brian,
think
you have some other FKTs, right?
I do. I have, I've done a lot in the California 14ers. I have one for biking from the low point in Death Valley and then running up to the top of Mount Whitney.
Cool.
Yeah, a lot of stuff out here in the Sierra. It's kind of my home backyard.
Yeah, right. And you live in Bishop, is that what you said?
I've lived in Bishop and Mammoth for about 10 years.
Okay, gotcha. And it
Yeah.
looks like, are you in the medical profession there? Is that why
I'm a nurse. Yeah.
you're a nurse? Awesome. At the
I'm,
hospital?
on a break here. I'm going to go back and finish working today here at Mammoth Hospital. So.
Right. Cool. Awesome. Well, thanks again for joining in and nice work, dude. Yeah.
Yeah.
Really awesome. Glad you had a good time.
Virtual fist bump.
great job.
Sure.
Good.
Yeah. Thanks, Jason. We'll talk soon.
All right. Catch y'all later.
Cool.
All right, cheers.
See ya.